I was waking up every day in my bedroom, and like every day I would just sort of see a different light coming in. So my bedroom window faces the east. So every time the sun rises, like I always get really interesting light in my room. And at that time, my bedroom had these really ugly blinds, slats on a slider that I thought were hideous. So I covered them with this sheer curtain. And it ended up actually creating a really interesting effect where light was coming in, going through the slats, but then also being filtered by the curtain. And I was just taking all of these photos with my phone. And when I looked at the photos, I was like, oh, these look like landscapes, or like these look like these strange like photos from some alien universe. So I was taking all these photos at home, and I didn't have any place for them. You know, there was just this thing that I was doing because I was waking up and seeing these things, and I just wanted to capture them. And over time, I sort of had this thought of like, these look like landscapes that I think I envisioned them, or the way that I thought of them, it was like these places that I couldn't visit, but that kept on appearing every morning. That for a short window of time, I was privy to the existence of like this place, this window that has opened, and you get to enter this magical land where things that shouldn't be able to happen are happening, or you're seeing things that normally aren't there, and then that window closes, and then you kind of, you know, move on with your day, and that dream is kind of over.
I think art seems to satisfy those other yearnings, how we envision the world, how we express our deepest feelings, how we it's a vehicle for all of those things outside of the grid logic structure. It's like trying to look at your eye. It's like, I know the eye's there, but I can't look at it because I need my eyes to look at my eyes. Like I can't, with this finger, can I touch my finger? I can't, even though my finger's right here. So I think art's kind of like that. I'm basically trying to describe the thing that is outside of language, outside of words. So how can I do that?
I think sometimes I draw people that symbolize what I want to be, parts of me that I like want to like amplify, I guess, like because a lot of my characters are like extroverted, they're loud, and they're like, I want this. They're very like out there, and I feel like drawing them helps me figure that part of myself out, because I'm not really an out there kind of person. But I think just like drawing overall, like drawing emotions and stuff, because I hold a lot of my emotions like in sometimes, and it just like helps to see someone else, like my drawings, like feeling the same way. It's almost comforting seeing somebody else like feel the same way as I do, even if it's just my drawings. It's kind of a way for me to like put my feelings like on paper and kind of feel comforted by it, because I don't really feel that way in real life.
What I don't want is to make something that an audience, someone who sees it would say, oh yeah, I get it. If they can answer the question in their head with one sort of thought, one little packet, then I've sort of failed. It should have that same quality as a stone or a flower. Like you look, you still can't figure out what it is, or it still lingers in you. Like the phenomenon of it should be so strong that it's not answer. You can't figure it out and be satisfied with a logical conclusion. I think it's something like it bumps into you, or it, like it hits you in the head, and then it creates a kind of swelling in the head, and then the swelling goes down. But now you've got this space in your head for this new idea to take inside your head. But it's not pre-planned kind of space into which you put this new sort of thought?
When I look at different art pieces, I like feel more than just like reading a blurb about it. That's why I like art museums. I don't really read like what it's about because I'd rather just look at the actual art piece and see what I see in it. Whenever I see like art, I like kind of feel it too. It's like humans are like really smart and like we've made a lot of like inventions. It's just like really cool that we can like create these pieces of art like by ourselves, like with the resources we have, that we have museums, that these people like, they're almost like superheroes because they can like create really good pieces of art and like make things from real life or like draw things that like don't make any sense but like somehow like represent a certain emotion. Other people can see it, and even if they have no idea what it is, they can feel the same like way that the artist felt when they're making it. So it's kind of a way that people can connect even though they don't really know what they're connecting like about. It's kind of like this unseen like emotion that we can all feel like mutually but not really understand it. And I think that's really cool.
That sculpture was, I think it's Joseph Smith, who's like started the Mormon religion. And he's on a globe, it's all gold. He's looking up and he's got his hand extended like this. And I saw, I was being really silly about it. I thought, I looked at him and I thought, oh, he's looking up into the heavens and he wants to be in the heaven. He's asking, somebody, God, to come here or he can come there. And I thought, I will try to do that for him. Because of the way, the shape of the edges and the holes in the middle, and the fact that like at those edges and in that hole, the paint itself was exposed to more air, and so it dried more quickly. And because of that, it left a kind of drying signature around the hole, around the edges, in the way that a dried lake bed would crack. And the hands were there, and it looked like that the hands caused the cracking. And although it was not my intention to do that, that's what happened. And so I feel like that I had carried out what this sculpture sort of was asking me to do. So it was almost like a miracle. A miracle had happened. It was up to me to kind of push the miracle materials closer so that the miracle could unfold by itself.
I guess it's easier to talk about art that I'm drawn to versus trying to define what art is generally. It does feel like expressions of people's inner worlds or like things that it's like an offering of what the world could be, is how I think of it. I don't think everyone thinks of it that way necessarily, which is why sometimes I think there's so much disagreement about what art is, but I think everyone kind of is drawn to different kinds of visions of the world. And I, at this point, know I'm like, okay, there's just certain art that I like because it makes me feel a certain way, or it's pointing to a certain thing that I want to see more of. And often I can't really describe what that is. But I think that's what we're all sort of trying to do. At least that's how I feel like where my art comes from is like there's a world and I would love other people to see it. And I feel like we all kind of have that desire, and so we just make things to be like, here's that world. And we're often dissatisfied because it never really quite shows the totality of that world.